Hi there, I'm Chris from Airwindows. Welcome to my nightmare. Or rather, welcome to a new plugin that I'm posting. That plugin is called Luxor. The reason I say nightmare is because I have spent the last 6 hours trying to record this for a variety of reasons. Beware if Apple is trying to protect you from your own microphones and cameras and things. I tell you, I was trying to get a lookup table working on OBS, which is what you're seeing right now. And in so doing, it asked oh, hey, OBS wants to use the microphone, okay? And I was like, no, this Mac Mini doesn't have a microphone built into it, and I don't want you to change its settings. No. And little did I know I was telling the Mac, don't let OBS have any core audio. So it killed all of my audio, and then the video died, and everything just died for hours and hours and hours. And I slowly was able to put it back together. Turns out if you have that happen to you, what you do is you go into the security settings and you go and look for specifically microphone and camera. And what that means is let this program have access to core audio. And all of the basic ways of doing anything, never mind microphones, doing anything on the Mac. So that was glorious. And then I did a whole recording, which was incredibly long, only to realize that I had recorded this little microphone and also the microphone that's built into the camera. So it was a big old loud slapback echo that was a complete disaster area. So it's been a really long day. But let me show you the new plugin. This is a plugin called Luxor. And if I turn it on, it sounds like this. So this is an interesting one because it was modeled after samples of impulse responses off a Manley massive passive or something like that. But it doesn't sound anything like a massive passive because that's an EQ, and the EQ is designed to not sound weird, but when you crank up the personality on this, it sounds like it becomes sort of your high frequency glossy style tone. And I'm going to tell you, maybe this is useful for people who want to do a guitar sound. People are asking me for an amp. Well, what does this sound like to you? I mean, that's a really obnoxious sound, but you crank up the drive enough on a hardness of 0, which means it's the density algorithm. Drive has lots of gain on tap, and that personality thing just gives you all this sparkle as if you were going into some kind of guitar amp. Or you can do hardness of 1 for 0 saturation and distortion. And that's fading out. But the end result is you can use it for bad craziness like this, or you can use it for thick, smushy madness like this, or you can dial these things right back and use it like the other character plugins. And again, you'll get this crazy airy quality out of it. So this sucker becomes more of a special effects thing, but it's one of the character plugins, much like Neverland, API Calypse. And this is the plugin for this week. Now the thing is, I was going to not do a plugin this week. I was going to do a evergreens, but the thing is, I decided that that's not what I'm going to do this week. I'm doing a plugin so that, here, let me make that quietly go away. I'm doing a plugin so that I can talk to you about something. Because here's the deal, it's not just only about the plugin. There's stuff going on at the moment that I am taking into consideration. People have been going after me for weeks, going like, oh, did you get the coronavirus? Are you, I don't think so. Like 3 weeks or so back, I got sick as a dog, but I chilled myself really badly, like I had hypothermia pretty much. So I chalked it up to that. So I'm fine. I'm feeling much better. But that stuff is going around, and I have started to see people bailing off of my Patreon, presumably because they need to take care of themselves. They lost their job, or they have to reconsider what they're spending. And that is a big deal to me, because I don't operate just like regular plugin makers and stuff. So the thing is, I've revised the pricing on my plugins. Back in the day, a long time ago, like more than 10 years ago, they were $60 a pop, and that was considered normal. That was fine at the time. I changed it to be $50, and I ran for like 10 years with it being like that. Things are changing, and everybody's doing like their subscription services, and typically a lot of DRM and not letting you have the plugin unless you keep paying and all that kind of stuff. I do open source, so I don't have to care about that. But I've been still telling people, like, if you would buy one of my plugins at $50 a piece, then please jump on my Patreon. Do that for a year. If I've done another plugin in a year, you can jump on again. That is no longer going to be the price I'm thinking about. I've done like 200 plugins, so there's no real, this doesn't necessarily change things for anybody, but the new price is not 40, it is not 30, it is not 25, no. I'm going to be pretending that the price of Airwindows plugins is now $20 a pop. And if you like one, maybe you should jump onto the Patreon for $20 a year, and if I do another plugin that you like, maybe you would consider it to be two for $40 a year. And if stuff is bad for you right now, or you're losing your job, or you're frightened by coronavirus talk and stuff, that's fair. And I want you to take care of yourself first. I do get a lot of synthesizer parts and things, but I've been very frugal, I've been sensible, so I'm in no trouble at the moment. Right now, although I don't necessarily have to be affected by this kind of stuff, because I like make open source plugins people download over the internet. It's not like I have to keep a storefront open and have people feel safe about going to it. In theory, this shouldn't affect me at all, but if people need my help with this stuff, this is the time that you should reconsider and go, oh, well, I do one plugin, I'm using 45 of Chris's plugins, but I'm paying for 2. Consider reevaluating that, and rather than chipping in for like $100 a year, dial it back to like 40 or 60 or 80. You can pretend that you're buying more with my blessing, because you're using them as many as you want with my blessing, and I'm never going to do anything to stop that. But I basically just changed the granularity of it up. And I've also edited the whole Patreon. So rather than having that weird stuff where it says that you're going to pay this, and then they used to, years ago, put a sales tax on it, and then they stopped doing that. And so ever since, I've been saying like, oh, pledge this to do that. And then I don't actually get all of that because they're not charging you a sales tax anymore. It's much simpler now. It's just in increments of $20. And that's the sizes of the pledges. I will never get rid of the $1 pledge because that's super important. And if you can't support me right now, don't. Back off. I've revised this whole pledge thing so that if you wanted to like go and hook up to the current Patreon and revise it, you'd have to go and repledge again. Nothing's being taken away from you, but all the previous ones that were about $50 a pop aren't visible anymore. They're still there, but they're not visible anymore. You still get to sign onto the Discord, but I took away the 1-2 plugin club things for little chat rooms because nobody ever used them, and it was a foolishness. And this is a time for me to ask you to take care of yourself. Like, use Luxor with my blessing. Here, I'll show you a picture of it again. There it is. See? Luxor. Use Luxor with my blessing. And if you're in trouble or need to like have money and stuff, this is the time to back off. I trust that you'll be there when things straighten out. When people are okay again, you'll be back, you'll be there again. And I promise I'll still be there. If I wind up in a situation where I'm in serious trouble because of this choice, I'll let you know. Right now, I'm not going to be in serious trouble. Right now, you can back off of some of your pledges to take care of yourself, and I promise I'm going to be okay. Now, it might mean that, like, me wanting to be in the top 50 of patron supporters on all Patreon, that could just be like, food, that just goes away, right? I don't believe that places like YouTube or anything like that care how much patron support I'm getting. It's nice getting more YouTube followers and things like that, but I can do other stuff. Like, there's a guy who's been asking me to do ambient music, and I've been really unwilling to do it most of the time because I'm really interested in techno and house music, and so that's what I do on Tuesdays. But the thing about it is, there is one person that wants to see me do lots of ambient music, so there's no special reason I can't do that. And I'll do my plugin over in Evergreens. I've promised in Evergreens that is coming, maybe next week. It'll be in place of doing a plugin. I've got a bunch of other plugins coming as well. Everything is basically going to run normally. Everything is going to be working fine, whether people are doing the Patreon or not. And again, if you need to take care of yourself, then do not be on my Patreon. Dial it back. Maybe leave it there so you remember that you're connected to it, but dial it back. Take care of yourself first. I'm going to be fine. And I'll be doing my question and answer thing on Monday, now that OBS is working again, because I just spent 6 hours trying to get it to work. And on Tuesday, I'll do my house music, techno music kind of jam. I'm very excited about that. I've really been taking it to some new directions. And then maybe Wednesday, I'll do a ambient music jam, much like that one. Leave it set up the way that it was and just fire it all up again. But this time, rather than being beat music, it will be beatless music. The tempo will be like glaciers moving, and it'll be all reverb and stuff. And the thing about it is, like, I don't want to give up doing the music with a pulse and danceability and stuff, but I listen to ambient music. There's no reason I shouldn't do that myself. I just am not willing to replace the other music to do it, so I'll just have to add more. And then Wednesday evening, I'll catch up with anybody who wants to hang out or who wants to join me and play Minecraft on a little server with some friends of mine and some friends from the Airwindows audience, because several people have showed up from time to time. And if you're watching that one and you have the ability to play the game, you can log right on and we will let you join us and play on stream and be on the chat. And because these are things that I can do. Like, I'm in a situation now where I'm still doing the plugins, I'm working on GUIs and different things like that. There's a lot of stuff that I'm trying to get together. It's all very interesting, really. And I'm looking at a situation where things are really sketchy. Like, I try to follow politics and it scares me to death. I really lose my shit over that stuff sometimes, and it's very anxiety producing. And I'm in a position where I can let people let go of a little of their anxiety, like back off the patronage, take care of yourself first, and continue paying attention to the stuff that I do. Hopefully you'll like it, At this point, I'd rather have people watching. I'd rather have people paying attention, and I'd rather have people understanding who I am. In terms of doing this stuff, in terms of putting my patrons first and caring about the musicians that I work for, because I work for you guys. You are not there to make me be some Ferrari-toting wealthy dude. That's never going to happen. That's not my value system. I make open source software. I'm trying to support other people doing things and work with other people, and I don't know how to put it stronger than that, other than to say, hey, I'm Chris from Airwindows. I'm probably going to be dialing up the music and streaming and stuff. I'm very grateful that OBS didn't permanently die on me. It's getting on way past my bedtime because I've just spent hours upon hours trying to fix my crap as it gave me nightmares and headaches. And I'm here to give you a new plugin, Luxor, which sounds interesting and weird. You can do a lot of cool things with it. Like you can use it for a guitar amp, or you can use it to make cymbals more sparkly or whatever. It's got its own tone quality. It's one of those things where it has a tone quality that is all its own. And I hope you like it. And again, this is a time for rechurning some of the things that I'm doing with the Patreon. I'm calling the plugins $20 rather than $50 now. You could still buy 200 of them. Please don't. That would be insane. And I wouldn't really believe it was true if you did. I would imagine that check would just bounce, you know. But basically what that means is if you wanted to do that, it's just become like $1.66 per month to feel like you seriously bought one of the plugins, the one that you like best. And then if you're also wanting to figure out where you stand as far as I want to support this guy, but I'm deciding how much, and well, there's now a lot more granularity because I got the Patreon worked out so that it gives you figures for how much for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And again, that's just more granularity. It's not just a matter of like, well, cough up another $50 a year, and it doesn't have to change anything. You're not getting anything more or less than you were before. But this is also a chance to take care of yourself and bail off of my Patreon or dial it back. If you're comfortable doing that, taking care of yourself and being like, well, I was paying for 2 plugins, so I'll continue to pay for 2 plugins, but now it's $40 a year. Thanks, Chris. Do that. Do that and we'll see where it takes us. Because I care more about my community than I do about trying to get a high score on some frickin' Patreon. And that's all I got to say about that. So with that, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.